Hey, welcome everyone. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. Got Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy in the green room. We're getting ready to get started in just a second. In the comments there, the chat, if you'll put where you're from, your name, and be nice to meet you and find out who's in here. Thank you. All right. All right. That's some good music. I don't know. I used that a long time ago and people seem to really like it. So if you like it, I'm here for you. Hey, welcome to the Preppernet Thursday Night Live. We got some special guests tonight. We got Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy. We also have, let me show you our schedule coming up because it is incredible. Hey, if you can hear me and I sound great, say yes, I can hear you. You sound and look great in the comments there so I can know. Okay, not maybe look and maybe not sound. My mom always said I had a face for radio and a voice for miming, so I don't know. So who's coming up? Well, tonight you can see it's medical doctor Joe and nurse practitioner Amy, and they've been on our show. We love them. You love them. We're working on their technology. I told her 8 o'clock. Everything I sent her to 8, and I think she told her peeps like 9, but that's okay. We're going to get to that. I am here to make fun of them just a little bit while they talk about serious stuff. So, and then next week we're going to have Charlie Hogwood. Charlie is he's the expert on groups. He's the chief editor of Survival Dispatch magazine. He's written several books. Let's see here. I know I have one here somewhere. I don't know where it is, but yes, Charlie, I don't know. But yes, so many books. He's going to be on next week. He's good friends with Joe and Amy. And the last time I had them both on at the same time, there was not confusion. Joe and Amy, man, they have a lot of good information. And Charlie's kind of shy. So I have to give Charlie his own time. So then the next week is Sam Kopler from Forward Observer. Everyone knows him. He's got some great classes. He's starting one class here soon, and we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to have Kyle. If you've ever listened to my my podcast, Kyle he loves conspiracy theories, and his mind is exploding right now. And I just want to possibly hear some of his conspiracy theories and let you guys jump in and go, you know what? He's a nut. Just like, well, actually, some of you guys will agree with what he says. But if y'all, Kyle was on my podcast, went off my podcast, came back on, had tenderfoot in the middle there. So anyway, so even after that, this keeps on going. The goodness never stops here. Then we have Andrew from EMP Shield. He makes the device that says that can make your house and car EMP proof. He is supposed to bring his technology guy on. I have people like technology people with just saliva running their mouths because they got questions for these guys and because they don't think this thing can work. Well, they sent me two, and I've installed the one on my car. I don't know if it works, but we got some people smarter than I am going to ask them all kinds of questions. So they're going to be on September 3rd. Then after that, I am doing my online privacy and security. And it's just that important. I'm going to teach you how to buy things online 100% anonymous. That even the delivery from certain places is anonymous. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. I'm going to teach you how to buy things online, no matter where you purchase it, completely with not your credit card, not anyone else's credit card either, but it's going to protect your privacy. So it's all about protecting your privacy. We'll probably get into some phones, some dark phones, all that kind of stuff. This is kind of in the details. This is high. This is mid-level stuff. But it's something you need to know because we're getting ready to buy a lot of things for Christmas. Why use a credit card that can be compromised? Every site that takes credit cards will be compromised at one point. They'll get your username, they'll get your password, they'll get your credit card number, they'll get your phone number. I'm going to show you how to buy from any of the sites online without giving any of that information away. So, and it's legal. Yes, don't even ask. It is legal. Next, we're going to have Scott Hunt, Engineer 775 from Practical Preppers. He's going to be on September 17th, and he does everything off-grid, solar, does wine cellars. If you've seen his videos, you know what I'm talking about. He's coming on. That's September 17th. And then I'm going to have Pastor Felix and myself. We're going to talk about the Bible and end times. Is this the end of the world? we're going to talk about that. Scott wants to join us because he has some opinions about that as well. But this isn't going to be in your face Bible stuff. It's just going to look at what the Bible says and what's going on today, and we'll figure everything out. We'll know everything. No, I'm kidding. We won't. So, and today I heard from Glenn Tate and Shelby. They're coming on. I got a call out to John Jacobs and his brand new bride, Lady Liberty. And then I got, and I'm sure they'll be on. They've been on many times. They actually told me they'd be on like a month ago, but I want to confirm a date with them. And then I'm going to have an author's night. These aren't the big time authors. These are kind of just people that are starting out in their career. They've got some great books, and we're going to just have a roundtable discussion with them. And I'm looking forward to that. Some of them is Sarah Hathaway, a guy named Prepper Dad. I'm asking my friend Robert Bragansky that writes the most visual graphical books that is hard to read. I would never let my 15, 16-year-old kids read it, but he's a great author. So anyway, that's some things coming up in the future. You know what? I want you guys to share what we're doing just to get the word out. There's no money being made here. This is just getting information to you. And you can see I put a nice little infographic there. You can get that on the Facebook page of Preppernet. But let me tell you, I did write a book called The Case for Christian Preparedness. Right when I said there's no money. Yeah, if you buy this, I make $2. Woo. So anyway, and if you want to, I'll be honest, when I do the night of the prophecy, I'm going to make this free on Kindle books for everyone. So I'm going to make it that whole, like 3 days free. If you want to wait, or you can buy a copy, that's great either way. It's not about money, it's about getting the information out. Okay, next is Join Preppernet. We have meetups in 85 cities in the United States. I work with city leaders, and then they have physical meetups, not so much because of COVID-19, but we still are meeting. Some of them are online, some of them meet in parks, but the idea is to meet local people in your area that have like-mind like you. And the internet relationships are great, but you need to meet people in your area. So when a disaster happens or you need help, people you can call that have the same like mind that you do. And that's all. And we have tens of thousands of members, upwards over 30,000 members, and in the meetups. We actually have more. If you take all the things we're doing, everything is more. We're in 85 cities. You can go to Meetup and just type in Preppernet. You'll see all the cities listed. You can go on preppernet.com. And I got some news. You guys are going to be so. I know that everyone in the chat room is just going to kind of go crazy on this, but I'm actually getting the website redone. I know, I built it in 1982. Yes, I know it looks so 80s, but we're gonna get it redone. I met with a person today, and so I know you guys are gonna be happy because the biggest complaint I get is the website, which is good. I guess they're not complaining about me, but I built it. So anyway, the biggest complaint I get is about the website. Our software, we have software in there that's incredible, and not because I made it, but it's really useful. And so I know the web wasn't in 1982. That was a joke. But so this software, once you become a Preppernet member, I require you to put your zip code in. So if you want to meet people in your area, you can go to this software. You look how many people in that zip code are in that zip code. You can send a message to everyone in that zip code. And you give your information. You don't know who you're sending it to. So today we looked up the lady that I was meeting with. She's my Waynesville leader, Tasha. She's probably on tonight. But in her zip code, there were 14 members. So she can fill out this form, send an email to all 14 people saying, hey, I want to meet people like-minded in my area. Here's my name. Here's my phone number, my email. And then it's up to them to reply. So it totally protects everyone's privacy unless you want to share your information. There's nothing out there like that. I built that. We're going to make that more user-friendly, and we're going to open it up just for more people to use it because our database is huge. And so anyway, that's about Preppernet. The basic is absolutely free. There is a premium. It's $40 a year. If you can't afford it, let me know. I'll get see Elizabeth Hawkins. She's my Yadkin Valley city leader. She's in the house in there. I'll get her to pay for it. The premium membership. So anyway, I think that might be. Oh, I'm doing a huge giveaway. If y'all know that I am the CEO of Sun Ovens. We bought Sun Ovens about a year ago. And so Preppernet is doing a huge giveaway. I'm giving away a Sun Oven with all the goodies, even the cover that I designed. See that the cover? We can't even keep them in stock. We're selling. I mean, we went through like 800 in hours. And so, and we got more things coming, just more goodness coming. But I'm going to give away a Sun Oven with a cover, a couple soil water filters, and then some Legacy. I think it's 240 servings of Legacy. I'm going to give all that away. And so what you do is you go to preppernet.com/giveaway. It's going to forward you to a sweet little site. It's called King Sumo. And if you share it, you get entries. If you post it on Facebook, you get more entries. If you like my Facebook page, if you do all these things, you can get more entries and your odds of winning go up big time. And I'm going to give this away in October 1st when we do October. So it's going to be some time. I can imagine the entries are going to go huge. I just released this today, and one guy already had like 150 entries, and he hasn't done everything yet. And every time you email it to someone, it's kind of like a network marketing now that I think about it. That's pretty cool. I like that. But every time someone else signs up with your link, you get more points. It's crazy. So we're going to give that away. It's over $1,000 that we're going to give away. When I say we, I mean Preppernet. So I think that is all I have. And hey, there's more goodness in here because I think we're going to have some giveaways tonight. I am not sure. So let us get started here. Let me go in here, and that's my announcements. Oh gosh, let's bring in Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy. Woo, in the house.
We are in the house, and we are ready to rock and roll, and we're going to dole out some unconventional wisdom today. And if there are any doctors in the audience that may not like me after this, but I'll tell you one thing. You know, you finish last in your league, and they call you a loser. You finish last in medical school, and they call you
a doctor.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. I knew some doctors that had finished last. You weren't one of them, though.
Nope.
So where's the bird? Where's the bird?
I shut the bird out.
We shut the bird out. Otherwise, the bird
because if
be yakking the whole time.
He doesn't pay attention to the bird will walk along and start nibbling on my toes. And then you're going to hear me yap.
Yep.
So look at this.
By the way,
any of these look familiar?
Yeah, those are actually,
two.
We've been writing about, writing about medical preparedness probably for more than a decade or so now.
Exactly.
And those three books that you have there are three of our more popular books, the Survival Medicine Handbooks now in its third edition, Alton's Antibiotics and Infectious Disease, talks about bacterial disease. And then you have the Viral Threat Disease book, which is Alton's Pandemic Preparedness Guide.
So let me show you guys one thing. He's a doctor, of course, and she's a nurse. This is their books. You can see the size of their books right there.
That's a lot of
that's
stuff.
Mine.
Well, you're more concise than I am. I like to ramble. When you're old, you ramble, Forrest. That's the way it is.
Okay.
Well, the bottom line here, I mean, the whole show, I can just put it down to one sentence, and that's that blood goes round and round, and air goes in and out, and any variation on these themes is bad. Bad. So you got blood going round and out, bad. Terrible things. Air going round and in, I don't know. Well, anyhow, we're going to talk today. We're going to start with COVID. We'll see what the time's like, and we're going to be maybe talking about some summer first aid issues. This is something that I think is important as well. I mean, a lot of people get sick of talking about COVID. I'm going to be talking about not some basic things about COVID, but I'm going to be talking about specific items that might be helpful for you or might allow you to understand why things are such a mess.
Exactly.
Such a mess. So that's the thing. Give me the first. Oh, you got the first slide up.
Tell me.
I do.
Our website. Okay, well, let me tell you, our website is doomandbloom.net.
And
And
store.doomandbloom.net.
store.doomandbloom.net. Amy has an excellent line, an entire line of medical kits, some one of a kind.
From little to giant.
That's right, at store.doomandbloom.net. So check it out. You'll be glad you did. And I'll tell you that this is something that we really, really have to talk about and go outside the wisdom tonight. We're definitely going to be doing that. So go ahead and give me the your second slide, next slide. And then we're going to go.
How young you look.
Oh yeah, that's
I think
an
it
old
looks
one.
better now.
Oh, me?
I like this.
I
mean, that's him with the bandage on his head, right?
No, that's somebody else.
She looks like an angel. I look like a devil.
That's actually his second son.
What can I tell you? Yeah. All right, next, we'll go to the next slide. You saw all the some of the books that we have and some of the kits. Go ahead and give me the next slide. Next slide. We're going.
Pay attention, don't I?
We're moving. Go ahead and give me the next slide as well.
Okay.
Let's do that. Basically, what we're going to do is just tell you the very basics, which are that anything that we talk about, anything that Amy talks about, well, it's mostly for educational purposes and entertainment purposes. So edutainment is what we're giving you here. If it doesn't constitute medical advice, it's just not meant to substitute for evaluation by a qualified medical professional. So seek standard medical and modern medical care whenever and wherever it's available. In other words, don't listen to a darn thing that we say. Next slide. Okay, so now I want to start just talking about a few of the things that have been frosting my cookies lately with regards to COVID-19. Some general statistics: 19 million cases, and clearly this is way lower than the actual numbers, right? We've done tens of millions of tests on Americans alone, but there are hundreds of millions of Americans. So I think that we have undercounted these cases by probably a factor of 10, probably a factor of 20. You know why? Because a lot of them are so mild and a lot of them are so asymptomatic that indeed people don't even know that they wound up having them. Now, it sounds like a lot if I tell you, we actually have 200 million cases, worldwide, or maybe 300 million cases worldwide of this stuff. I know it sounds like yelling fire in a crowded theater, but the truth of the matter is that most of what we're missing are mild cases that are out there that people just don't know about. Maybe countries that just don't have the ability to test like we do, and it just don't get to or that have just stopped testing, which probably is what has happened in the country of China, so, and certainly places like North Korea, which,
zero cases. I think they said they might have had one.
All right. One case. All right. There you go.
But I think they claimed that person had broken into the country, like illegally got in there.
For a while, it sounded like that person was Kim Jong-un. All right.
Oh yeah. Remember the overhead shots of the trains?
Right.
He went to probably some compound to hide out, and they had his trains, and the trains weren't moving, and there was like, oh, is he in the hospital? Is he on a ventilator? No, unfortunately, that wish did not come true.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: his sister is scary as looking as hell.
I know.
All right. Well, anyhow, guys, moving on. 725,000 deaths about, and when I say deaths, I'm talking about deaths in which COVID-19 was a factor. And that's important. It's 150,000 deaths in the U.S. approximately. And it's somewhere on the death certificate, COVID-19 is a cause, contributing factor. And I mention it that way instead of saying that person died of COVID, because the truth is that, well, it's just not what took most of the people that died to the brink of death. It is maybe the last straw that may have broken the camel's back. Yes, seriously. I mean, you may say that it's a bunch of baloney, but the truth is that there are a lot of people, a lot of cases of this, even among famous people. Herman Cain, for example. Let's talk about the former presidential candidate. Okay, in 2006, Herman Cain, you may not know this, or you might know it. He was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, and he was given, he underwent surgery, underwent chemotherapy, wound up getting like a prognosis of about 30% that he'd be alive in 5 years. He died in 2020 of COVID, quote unquote, But the truth is, he didn't die of that. He died from complications relating to long-term stage 4 metastatic colon cancer. And, I personally wouldn't mind lasting 14 years after I got that diagnosis. So what can I say? I don't think that this is a COVID death. I consider this to be a cancer death, and something eventually kills you. Or usually it's pneumonia. They call pneumonia the old man's friend because it ends their suffering by killing them. And basically this is a type of pneumonia, right? So this is just the straw that broke the camel's back. 1% of active cases are considered serious or critical. And it's important to know that the figures relating to the COVID numbers, especially numbers of serious cases, have changed over the course of the pandemic. And early on, it was about 15% of people that ended up in the hospital, ended up in serious or critical condition. And they were concerned they were going to run out of ventilators. But at present, you got 1% of the active cases considered serious or critical. Now, if you want to make things sound bad, okay, you can say, well, we have a limited number of ICU beds. That's true, but there's things that you don't know about that. I'm going to talk about that later. If you really want to make it sound bad, you can look at the closed cases. Of the closed cases, cases in which people have either recovered or who have died, the figure is about 6%. And you would think that that is terrible, but in actuality, earlier in the course of the pandemic, the numbers were 21%. So something has happened, and it could be maybe a mutation, could be the way things are reported, but things are definitely, you may have a very contagious disease, but I don't know if it's as lethal now as people once were concerned that it was. If you're young, you really don't have too much to worry about at all. It's not very lethal, COVID-19, except for very rare cases. They're about 0.8%, I think, of people that are below the age of 35 that got COVID actually died from it. Matter of fact, if you consider the actual number that I believe of cases that are out there, then the number may be closer to a tenth of that. And if that's the case, well, it's just about the same as a sort of a bad flu. Now, you start moving on, and you move on to middle age, which somehow people have decided that 35 to 64 is now middle age. I don't know about you.
I don't think 35-year-olds would say that.
I'm a couple of years over 64, and I feel like I've been an old fart for about 20 years. So I don't know about you, but I'm not sure if that's middle age, but that's just some of the ways they manipulate the numbers. And about 18.5% of U.S. deaths occur in the 35 to 64 age group. That age group, that percentage, by the way, is higher than most other countries. And almost all of that is weighted towards the older folks. Now, if you are an older folk, speaking of which, if you are like me, an old guy with a number of medical conditions, well, COVID is a little bit of a concern. More than 80% of COVID deaths occur in those people that are over 65. But it's important to know that almost half of these are people that are in elderly people in assisted living facilities, nursing homes, hospices. Right. Okay. And to me,
and you don't get to a hospice unless you're at the end of your life anyway. There's something going on, and your time's up.
Right.
And it's just a matter of when the alarm's going off. That's end of life. You don't go into a hospice to get fed and have your diapers changed. You go there because something is wrong with you and you're about to die. That's who goes to hospice. And then you've got the nursing homes. So between the two of them, that's most of the people who are dying.
And so what that means to me is that we've done probably a better job, guys, of protecting our healthier senior citizens than we have of protecting people that are infirm, that are elderly, infirm, and wind up in nursing homes. And it probably could lead to a very long conversation about the state of nursing homes today and how basically you really probably don't want to be in one unless you have absolutely no other choice.
No.
Next slide. Forrest. Oh, okay. Go. You got it. Okay. All right. No, I'm looking at a different. You're doing great. But
now you know what I go.
I'm looking at a different computer, and I didn't change my own slide.
Pressing that button is really hard and difficult.
Ready?
You got to take a really close look at COVID deaths by age to see much of a difference at all. Maybe where you see the yellow arrow there, you see maybe a little higher percentage between 65 and 85 years of age, where you have a little more deaths from COVID than you have from a number of other common internal causes, heart disease and things like that. But that's just as a percentage. Go to the next slide is better.
Okay.
Next slide.
Again, yeah, I'm going.
All right. Sounds good. Well, the next slide shows you basically what happens if you are 85 plus years of age. If you are 85 or older, the death rate by age is honestly, your chances of dying are about 10% or so. It doesn't sound good, but honestly, almost 90% of people that are over 85 that get COVID-19 survive the disease.
Which is crazy because the media makes it seem like everyone who's 85 who gets COVID dies. I mean, if you were just listening to them and they didn't tell you actual statistics, it sounds like everyone over 85 is a goner.
So there you go. I mean, if you're 35, you have a 99% chance. If you look at the graphic, 99.9% chance of surviving COVID. And that's not too much different than a bad flu virus. But even if you are 85 years old, 86 years old, 87 years old, 90 years old, your chances still are about 10%, 10.5% that you'll die, but 90% almost that you will survive it anyhow. That's something that people don't realize. They just think that if you get it and you're elderly, boom, that's it for you. Let's hope not. All right. So next slide. Go to the next slide.
I'm there.
The interesting thing is that there are just a lot of new types of treatment and prevention for COVID. They're coming fast and furious. There are 315 different treatments in development, 202 different vaccines in development as well. If you go to the Milken Institute, MILKEN institute.org, you can actually see a whole list of these 315 treatments, 202 vaccines that are all in development. There's just so much that's being done right now, and it's hard to say whether any of these is going to pan out. I believe that it's like the stars in the sky. I mean, one of them may have, alien life on it, or who the heck knows? But
That's
I mean,
right.
if you get enough treatments, or you get enough of these things, one of them's got to work. And so,
well, there's a lot of money in it for these people,
right? So
let's be clear. There's so many medicines out there that have been out there for so long that there's generics.
Yeah.
And so they're not making good profits. So big pharma says, aha, cha-ching, cha-ching. So we're going to benefit, hopefully, by some non-lethal cure, something that isn't worse than the cure, some pill that doesn't have too many side effects that helps us, or some vaccine if people want to take a vaccine and they feel it's safe enough. But we're going to benefit by having some kind of treatments, and Big Pharma is going to benefit by having a lot more money in their pocket. So that's why they're all racing for this. They're not trying to save the world. They're trying to line their pockets, is the truth.
Oh,
it is the truth.
You're controversial.
There are good people who work for Big Pharma, I'm sure. Good family people, but the people at the top are counting the numbers.
Absolutely.
With the calculators.
Next slide.
Yes, coming.
So there are a lot of different options in medicines that are actually readily available that we have talked about before. We've talked about them on our podcast, and some of them are vitamins, some of them are minerals, some of them are one that we're going to talk today is just an antiseptic that actually may help decrease of the chances of severe illness. I mean, first, I want to just mention one of the oldest ones, and that is the one that was put together by this doctor named Vladimir Zelenko, a guy in Brooklyn, claimed success with an inexpensive course of treatment using the anti-malarial hydroxychloroquine. I mean, he used hydroxychloroquine, he used azithromycin, and he used zinc sulfate. Mm-hmm. Now, since President Trump endorse this treatment. It's become denigrated by anybody who isn't one of his supporters.
Here's our zinc.
So
can that be seen?
We have to talk about
That's
following
our
the
zinc.
science a little later. Now, when I say following the science, I'm putting that in quotations because there is a lot that
Here's
goes
our
into
D2.
that, and you can really
You just keep talking.
you really can get fooled by what's going on. I want to discuss zinc a little. Everybody should know a little bit about zinc. Zinc is a very important mineral. Second, it's found in every cell of the body, second only to iron, I think, as a mineral. And it is very important for immune function and many other body processes. If you don't have enough of this trace element in your system, well, you are going to be at risk for different types of infections. And the population over 60 is the ones that seem to have the highest level of zinc deficiency. Zinc allows the body to produce and activate immune cells that respond to infection. It also modulates. It may strengthen the immune system, but it also modulates the immune system too. In other words, it gets the defenses going, but it doesn't allow the defenses to go overboard. And that's what actually can kill people. And if you wind up having enough zinc in your system, you are probably going to be able to control the amount of immune overreaction that can occur. That's something called cytokine storm. We'll have a quick slide on that a little later, so you can we'll talk about that, because not only zinc does that, but also vitamin D and some other things do it as well.
Are you going to talk about this later?
And I'm going to mention that.
Okay, then I'm going to put this here.
I'm going to mention.
That's what we're going to talk
Okay,
about.
we'll mention that very quickly too. So, of course, all the studies that came out after Trump decided that this was going to be an effective treatment, all the studies from academics have come out saying that it's not effective. But that's not actually true. It's just that the ones that you hear about say that it's not effective. There are almost as many that say that there is an effect, a beneficial effect, as there are that say there isn't. For example, a New England Journal of Medicine says it isn't in July. In June, the International Journal of Infectious Disease said it was effective. And neither of them took into account the action of zinc, the antiviral action of zinc, which is very, very important in terms of getting this cytokine storm under control. And neither of these studies, and neither did almost all of these studies, could have any zinc whatsoever on it.
You're talking about that too.
Yep.
All right. So I'm actually in the group that believes that this is something that can help, and that we have lost the ability to have an open mind with regards to this simply because of the political climate. And that is bad news. Now, interestingly enough, there is indeed a study underway, a massive study underway, that does include zinc along with azithromycin, hydroxychloroquine.
Azithromycin.
The two things that have been studied by a million different studies with all sorts of separate results, the opposite results basically, that negate each other. But there is one that does include zinc, and guess what? It's going to be available. The results are going to be available the month after the election. And so, how about that?
Yep.
Now, so the missing zinc in all these studies, that may be the missing link between whether somebody gets really sick or somebody gets the benefit of hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine potentiates the antiviral action of zinc, and that's how it's supposed to work. Like I said, most of the people in academia will say that that's a lot of baloney, but I believe that you have to use all the tools in the woodshed, and this happens to be one of them. Go to the next slide.
Yes, I will.
So another thing that's easy to get into your to obtain, but hard to get a good level of, is vitamin D. Vitamin D, a very important nutrient. You produce it in your skin when you're exposed to the sun. Can vitamin D help you avoid a trip to the COVID ICU? That's what the questions have been lately. And we've been reviewing the potential for vitamin deficiencies like this and mineral deficiencies to play a significant role in disease. And sure enough, this, I believe, is another one of those immune modulators that can really activate the immune system but prevent it from overreacting. So you get this nutrient produced in your skin when it's exposed to sunlight. It takes about, 10 to 20 minutes normally of sun on your back or your arms, legs, chest to be able to get probably twice a week, maybe, to be able to get the amount of vitamin D that the average person would want. But the truth of the matter is that you don't get enough just with that. And I'll tell you why. Go to the next slide.
Okay. There.
All right. The next slide shows you what vitamin D was originally used for, and that was to prevent a condition called rickets. Rickets is a condition where the calcium and phosphate in the body was unable to produce strong bones, and vitamin D, its original purpose was to make those bones strong and to prevent things like these poor kids' deformities from happening. It also may help in things like multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, heart disease, depression. A lot of people are beginning to investigate the various things that vitamin D can do for you if you get it in enough of a quantity. And you have to have a good level of vitamin D in your system. Unfortunately, go to the next slide.
Okay. There
are very few foods that are good sources of vitamin D. Fatty fish like salmon, tuna, maybe mackerel, egg yolks, beef liver. Those are, some decent sources of vitamin D, but there are very few foods that naturally give it to you. And the foods that don't give it to you, actually, some of them have to be enriched. Like vitamin D, you'll see Sunny D. You'll see vitamin D in some orange juices. You'll see it in a lot of milk, as a matter of fact. And in the USA and in Canada, infant formula is required by law to have vitamin D. That's how big a problem this rickets was a long time ago, and how easy it is for us to suffer from vitamin D deficiencies. So go to the next slide.
Yes, sir.
So I mentioned that the skin produces vitamin D, and a lot of people say, well, all you need is to be in the sun for a little bit, and you should have a good vitamin D level. The truth is that's not the case. And one of the reasons why is the sun isn't enough because people don't utilize the sun correctly. And to utilize the sun correctly, in most areas of the country, you need to be out at a certain time of the day between, let's say, 10 when the sun's high in the sky, between 10:30 and 3:30 in most areas would probably be good. It depends on the time of year, of course.
Right.
And
like you said, where you're located.
Yes, exactly. So early in the morning, around sunset, you're not getting much vitamin D production. As a matter of fact, if your shadow is longer than your height, you've gone beyond. You're either too early or you're too late to get really good vitamin D production. You don't get vitamin D production if you stand at a window and the sun, even if the sunlight's coming in, because some of those rays, UV rays, are blocked. Not all of them, but some of them are blocked, and it affects the amount of vitamin D that you get. So that's important. Also, shade is an issue. If there's complete cloud cover on a particular day, that decreases your vitamin D absorption by at least 50%. Shaded areas, even more than that.
Can you imagine how low we are now after everyone's been sheltering in place?
Right. So this
They've
is a big
shut
problem.
down the beaches at times.
A big
Sorry, that was stupid, by the way.
It's a big problem. Even in some of these cities like Beijing, where it's so smoggy, or Los Angeles, where it's so smoggy, that's shade too, and that also decreases the amount of vitamin D people get.
Maybe that's why they're so crazy in LA. That could be the reason. They're all
not getting
low
enough
vitamin
D for their brain. That's right.
That's it.
And so what
has to be the answer? Forrest laugh.
Yeah.
He's not paying attention.
I know.
Yeah. So
the novel.
And so what's actually happening in the United States is that we have at least a 42% deficiency percentage of the population, 42% of the population is deficient in vitamin D, and it's worse in a lot of different categories in African Americans and Hispanics, anybody with darker skin, anybody with lighter skin who doesn't get sun exposure, premenopausal females, a lot of them, and
don't look at me.
People with
That's all that. That's all that.
a lot of them. Well, I mean, you're
Just move on.
You're
move
just
on.
a
It's all right, just
beautiful
move
young.
on. I
You're a
love
beautiful
you.
young woman, and
I'm joking with you.
yes, you are. So the bottom line with this is that we are suffering from significant vitamin D deficiency, and the amount of vitamin D that we are recommended to have by the country's nutritional experts
Oh yeah,
is about
they're so experty.
is about 400 to
Just look at our
800
food
international units.
Wait, just look at our food pyramids over the years.
There you go.
Yeah, our nutritional experts, right?
So let me tell you right now. So many months ago, I actually listened to one of Jack Spirko's podcasts, and he kind of told everybody what to take. And everyone knows that I have a friend that's on the inside of the president's pandemic. What do you call that group of people? Task force.
Advisory. Okay,
Task force, yes.
Task force. I have a friend in there. He's a doctor, and I've mentioned him many times, but I don't want to mention it in this environment. But he agreed, and in a private phone call said exactly what Jack is putting in the chat room, and it's the exact same things. And he still stands behind that. And so Jack was right at least 2 months ago when he put that podcast out. It may be 3 months ago.
I said this. I'm the Jack.
So what I'm trying to say with this, I don't know what Jack recommends, but we're getting
a lot of bananas.
We're all been agreeing.
We're all getting way too little vitamin D.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And amounts of 4,000, 5,000 international units, very, very reasonable to take, I think, even on a daily basis. There are studies that show that 10,000 international units a day is not associated with any major complications. And there are studies that use mega doses, 300,000 international units, and not daily, but on a less frequent basis, to try to get somebody from being vitamin D deficient up to an acceptable level of 30, 40 nanograms per milliliter. I
actually have a capsule that I used to take before we got this one. I think that's the right thing. We take that every day. It's 50,000 units. And actually, I was giving that to you. You probably don't even know because you just take whatever I give you. It's true. He does. If I honey here, and all these capsules look exactly alike. They're all white capsules with like some powder in it. He has no idea. I could be feeding him rat poison for all he knows, but I'm not. But I used to give you, I had this pack, and it was a once weekly dose, and it was 50,000 international units. Sometimes I would take it twice a week, but I had no ill effects. I mean, it didn't bother me. And it was supposed to be for a week dose, so you only had to take it once a week. But now we take this daily, 5,000.
So how does the vitamin D help? How does the zinc help? And basically, I mentioned the cytokine storm. Let me just say real quick what it is. If you have a virus in your system, that can produce an immune response, and the immune response produces these proteins called cytokines that send immune cells into action. And sometimes they go overboard, and the overreaction is known as the cytokine storm. And it's considered to be a major killer in COVID-19. And it's seen in people who have vitamin D deficiencies. It's seen in people who have zinc deficiencies, or who aren't taking the kinds of minerals and vitamins that they should take. Quercetin is another antioxidant. Certain antioxidants like quercetin are also very helpful.
I want to make sure it shows.
And work as
oh no, I picked up the zinc.
Immune
Sorry.
modulators. And
it's not picking up.
All right, well, it's okay.
No, back forward. Oh wait. I had it for a second. There we go. Okay.
So basically,
Sorry.
this is what you're trying to do. You're trying to mount an effective immune response, while at the same time avoiding cytokine storm. Go to the next slide.
Yes, sir.
So
Okay, wait. Someone did ask a quick question, and you may have said this already. Does sunscreen affect absorption of vitamin D?
Sunscreen at SPF 8 or higher will not allow you to get the vitamin D, the normal amount of vitamin D. It causes a lot less vitamin D to be produced by the skin. A lot of people accidentally wind up getting a decent amount of vitamin D, even with sunscreen, because they fail to use it correctly. Put it on before you go out in the sun and repeat it many times during the day.
Which, of course, is going to block your vitamin D, which is the point of this,
right?
Is to try and get vitamin D.
So anything SPF 8 or higher is an issue.
Not good.
Is an issue. So next slide.
150 on, it blocks all of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well, you can.
He is looking a little pale, though.
You can use some stucco. That probably would. Like stuccoing yourself.
I got to figure that out. But yeah, sorry about that.
There's a lot of people. I mean, I brought this up before when you're talking about vitamin D. There are a ton of people. Can you imagine people who weren't vitamin D deficient who have now sat in their houses for what? Way up to 7 months now, and basically left to go get groceries. Covered and afraid to get anything and run back in the house. I mean, there must be millions and millions of people all across the world that are low in vitamin D. And talk about a vulnerable population. Having low vitamin D is not the best thing for all of us right now.
That's right. Next slide.
Take our vitamin D.
Well, you didn't even talk about that one. It surprised me. Okay, here we go.
This is the cytokine storm. Basically, you have a normal immune response. You want everything to happen that's on the top row, and now when you get to the bottom row, you're not so happy having that happen, because basically what happens is the cells that are destroying the COVID-2, the cells that are infected with COVID-2 are sort of collapsing their form, and what's happening is the body is realizing this and sending more cytokines out, because they think that there's more cells that are inflamed. Then what happens is the immune response system goes out of control. You wind up having an inflammatory reaction, just continues, and it just starts destroying lung cells that are not doing so badly, that are healthy lung cells, and it winds up destroying your entire lining, and that winds up killing you. Next slide.
Okay, you've got a question. Has there been any news on TCM, traditional Chinese medicines, affecting COVID at all?
I don't know much about them. I
haven't looked for them, so I have to say I'm not sure. I'd have to look around. And then again, with these studies, how much do we trust them? That's
right.
And we're going to be talking about that.
I'm really concerned about these.
We'll be talking about that in a minute. Honestly, I'm not an expert in traditional Chinese medicine, so that's something that maybe there might be people who know more about it than I do that are in a chat room.
I am going to say one thing. You'd have to drink. There's some asking, does tonic water actually help with COVID? And the reason she's asking this is because of the malaria drug.
Right. No.
And then tonic water.
Not enough.
And how much you'd have to drink of tonic water.
Right.
I mean, it was
to get enough, you need to drink
2 gallons a day or some ridiculous amount.
Right.
It's just not possible to hydrate yourself enough with that to even come close. So
you just don't get enough quinine with that would be able to make a difference.
Sweet.
Yeah, you're better off just taking this one.
Now, interestingly enough,
Which one isn't in focus again.
another simple way to deal with, according to some ENT doctors, is by making a nasal spray out of povidone iodine solution that's betadine. And there is a Dr. George D-O-M-B, Dome. I don't want to say dumb or doom or anything like that. I think it's Dome.
Why Dome?
Dome.
Yeah, that sounds like Dome.
He says that combining povidone iodine solution with the saline nasal spray is a powerful way to kill coronavirus. That's been ENT doctors have been doing it ever since the outbreak started, but not really mentioning much about it. He has a formula in which you mix a half a teaspoon of about 10% povidone iodine with a 44 milliliter spray bottle of saline, a sterile saline nasal spray. And he says that it kills, he says that it's been proven to kill SARS-CoV-2 100% in the laboratory, but there are probably not many studies yet relating to actual humans. It is 100% safe, he says. He's used it for years. And some may consider it a bunch of hooey, but povidone iodine is an antiseptic. It's not an antibiotic, so it has activity against viruses as well as bacteria. It's been used against MRSA, but it's also been used in oral preparations and studies on the original SARS. It's been used for swine flu and others with effectiveness. And there is one study now that's going on right now that's testing whether betadine gargle and nasal sprays, like the one mentioned by Dr. Dome here, are effective against SARS-CoV-2 in healthcare workers. And what they're doing is they're giving a nasal spray and a gargle of this povidone iodine, 10% povidone iodine solution, diluted 1 part in 30 parts of sterile saline, and using a spray before starting a shift, during lunch break, and then at the end of the shift. And so 2 sprays per nostril, and you have to take a look just to make sure you're getting enough. You have to look in the mirror and make sure you have a little iodine in the back of the throat, and keep that there for 30 seconds, and then gargle the solution for about 30 seconds, and not have anything to eat or drink by mouth for about 30 minutes. I have to
afterwards. Say I've never heard of.
Right.
This is something new to me.
Now this is something that they're actually testing. It's in phase 2 clinical trials to see whether this gives protection to medical workers that are high risk for infections. Dr. Dome warns that it won't work for a percentage of the population, 10 to 15%. Don't use it if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, have hyperthyroidism, are being treated for thyroid cancer with irradiated iodine, hypersensitive, or people that are hypersensitive to iodine or allergic to iodine use. Obviously, this is not something for you. And of course, it's something that shouldn't be used on children younger than about 6 or 7 years of age. So the bottom line is you have to dilute it properly, 1 to 30. Not the easiest thing to do. Try this at home at your own risk. Next slide.
Okay, Amy, did you catch that question? Some question.
Yes, give me a second. Let
me
just finish up.
Okay.
Okay, well, I just want to say that we do have the various methods that we're talking about that might help actually are pretty simple. The ones we've mentioned: vitamin D, quercetin, zinc, and betadine. All of these things are things that you can get cheaply, very simple to deal with, and may be helpful if in enough doses, in the appropriate dosing, to actually increase the levels to the point that you are helping to prevent COVID-19 and maybe avoiding an ICU trip. Maybe if you do get it, you get a lesser case of it. So that's something that's very important. There are a lot of high-tech type treatments. Of course, people have heard about remdesivir, which is one of those experimental drugs that are one of the popular drugs that are being evaluated now in all sorts of different studies. But there's a new one in which they're using monoclonal antibodies. And these antibodies are essentially proteins that home in on specific single targets. And in this case, for COVID-19, it's the spikes in the protein, the spikes in the protein of the coronavirus. The coronavirus has spikes because it's, corona supposed to make it look like a crown. And these antibodies that are produced, monoclonal antibodies, stick to the spike proteins and basically bind to the human cell and cover the surface of the spike that does not allow the virus to go anywhere. So that's something that's important to know, that we do have some new things coming out, monoclonal antibodies, and that's in contrast to collecting plasma from COVID survivors, like we did with Ebola survivors. We actually picked up some of the plasma from Ebola patients.
Right.
Well, they also are doing it with COVID survivors as well, and and trying that. But the difference between the plasma from a COVID survivor and the monoclonal antibodies is that you can produce them synthetically, the monoclonal antibodies, in the lab in a decent amount. Next slide.
Okay.
Somebody had a question about an interaction of zinc absorption. They were talking about warfarin, but I'm not seeing that as a problem with absorption where I am right now. I'm seeing quinolone antibiotics can cause a decrease in zinc absorption. Tetracycline antibiotics interact in the GI tract, inhibiting absorption of zinc. You have to take the antibiotic 2 hours before the zinc or 4 to 6 hours after taking the zinc. This other one, I don't know how do you pronounce that one? Penicillamine?
Penicillamine, yeah.
Okay, penicillamine, which is treating rheumatoid arthritis. Take your zinc 2 hours before taking that medicine. And diuretics, which I know some people that are on diuretics. I actually took them for blood pressure for a while. Prolonged use of thiazide diuretics could deplete zinc tissue levels. So clinicians should monitor zinc status in patients taking diuretics. A lot of people take diuretics.
Right.
So
Well,
it increases the urinary zinc excretion by as much as 60%.
It's not unreasonable to do levels to identify basically how deficient people are. And vitamin D levels are also things that can be done to identify whether there's enough vitamin D in the system to be able to actually make a difference. I wanted to talk a little bit about ICU beds. Let's go to the next slide.
Okay.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
next slide. Okay.
Yep, I went too far. There we go.
Go back. Okay.
There we go.
Now everybody is reading about, oh my gosh, there's an outbreak and we're running out of ICU beds. And I think that people have this idea that ICUs are essentially just empty and have all of these beds, and they wind up getting filled up because there's so many severe COVID-19 cases. Well, the truth is that normal ICU occupancy rates, and this is before COVID-19, ranged from about 60 to 80% occupied for the average ICU. For the average ICU, there were about maybe four or more unoccupied beds in the average ICU, only maybe about half of the time. That means that there are only a few unoccupied ICU beds per unit at any one time, even in urban settings. All right. So that what I'm trying to say with that is that basically you've got already the majority of the ICU is filled with people that have cancer, that have heart disease, that have lung disease, all sorts of different issues. And all these ICU beds are mostly taken up. And so therefore it doesn't really take a big outbreak to get the ICUs sort of filling up to capacity. So it's not because the world is ending. It's just because you wind up having to share beds and ventilators in situations where COVID patients are also having to are also in the same hospital with people who have heart disease, things like that. That's why in New York, they actually had a ship that came in that was supposed to take care of the non-COVID ICU patients,
right?
And because they were they expected the ICUs to be totally overflowing, and they actually weren't. But the truth is, if an ICU is full, it's mostly because there are people that have other medical issues that like heart disease and cancer, things like that. And there are a few people with COVID. Those people may even be in a separate unit because, of course, the contagiousness of the disease. Go to the next slide. So I'm always hearing about follow the science. Okay. So people think that I'm a quack when I say that, I'm not sure that the science is the science anymore. I mean, it sounds like the right thing to do to follow the science, and maybe in normal times it would be, But you have to understand that the goal of medical experts these days is essentially to prevent, I mean, they want to prevent every case and every death, regardless of its impact on a society. I mean, this sounds commendable, but it also means that if they thought it was feasible, they would put everybody in their own bubble and nobody would ever catch a disease from anybody else. And that would be so wonderful, but a world can't run like that. And even this, even Dr. Anthony Fauci himself recently has gone a little bit crazy in that he's now wanting everybody to wear a face shield in addition to a mask. So things are theoretically getting worse, even though we're having less percentage death rates than we did in the past. But now we're being recommended to have more protection. Now, Amy has face shields in her store, you know, but between you and I,
those would be for specific people who actually had
are
COVID,
really at high risk,
family members that they had to take care of at home.
Right.
That's when you wear that, not when you go to the grocery store to buy milk.
You know, so you're going to go out for a bike ride, and Dr. Fauci wants you to have a mask and a face shield on, and I just don't believe in that.
I like it when all these news reporters, they're doing by themselves. The cameraman's 15 feet away, and they have to wear the mask. I love that. That's
just for show, and they're outside.
Yes,
they're outside. If someone could just tell me,
news, it's just them, and they point the camera and they stand in front of it.
They do it themselves. It's pure show. It's like the people who are driving alone in their cars with I saw one with the face shield and the mask on the other day, completely alone with their windows rolled up. I'm like, who are you getting COVID from in your car? I'm just curious. Is there a little person I don't see who has it? These are just really over the top things that people are doing. If we just use common sense, we get through so much of this.
And you have to realize that the experts, the medical experts, they don't care about the impact on the economy.
No.
They don't care about the social framework of the country. It's not their job. At best, maybe they're idealists. Maybe some are just looking to avoid getting sued for telling people not to wear a mask, let's say, or
probably
something like that. Or at worst, they could be disrupting the society purposefully to obtain more power or to eliminate enemies or competition. I mean, they are not immune. I'm telling you, these people are not immune to pressure from political agendas. Next slide.
Okay, next slide.
So, science.
Whoops, sorry.
Ways to manipulate science. There are a lot of ways that you can manipulate science to do pretty much whatever you want.
Anything you want.
And so you may have a randomized double-blind study and reviewed by peers, academic peers. They all come from academia. And you may think that this is unassailable, but all of these studies that don't agree with each other about hydroxychloroquine, for example, they are the same types of studies. These are studies that have been reviewed by somebody's peers that have been double-blind.
They've been reviewed by people who agree with them.
Right.
So this is what I believe. And I know I'm going to give it to this group of peers who have already said that they think I'm right. So I'm going to hand it to them. And then they're going to read it. And guess what they're going to say? Oh, yes, we peer reviewed it. Okay. There is no longer, I believe, anything that has to do with these COVID drugs and science that I put any faith in right now. Honestly, this medicine works. That medicine doesn't. This medicine does. They have a group of doctors saying we're using this as work. It gets taken off of Twitter, off of Facebook. I can't believe anything anymore unless I see it. I look at it. I test it myself. I am just become the world's biggest skeptic because it's just insane. Although I will say I do believe in zinc and vitamin D and this one I forget how to say it. Hydroxychloroquine.
All right. You're absolutely right. And you forgot quercetin. I thought you were going to say
that's exactly what I take as well.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I believe in.
There you go. And I think that this is a
I
reasonable.
put my faith in those.
And
reasonable combination for the average for people to use. Now, I don't think you necessarily have to use chloroquine as a preventative unless you're definitely going to be using zinc. The preventative dose is a weekly dose, not a daily dose, and so you don't need to take too much of this if you're not sick.
Right.
All right. So just please make sure you're aware of that.
I think it's called keratin. I take that as preventative, but I do have the hydroxychloroquine for in case someone in my family does get sick.
And you have to take care of them, right?
I'm not going to. It's widely known that you can get. I mean, so no doctors in America will prescribe that right now that I know of. The FDA has prevented people from prescribing hydroxychloroquine, but there are ways. We are mostly preparedness and preppers here, and there are ways to get it. I got it, and I may or may not have posted that on my Facebook page. I don't know, but it's there on how to get it. And so let's say I get COVID. I'm going to go to the doctor. I probably won't go, to be honest with you, but I recommend some of my family members, if they get it, they go and say, listen, I think I got COVID. The test came back positive. I have these drugs. I'm going to take them. You as my doctor, tell me I need to take them and what and what doses I need to take. And at that point, if he says, I can't help you, you go to a new doctor. Just plain and simple. Because I want people to be looked at by a doctor, especially if I'm involved in helping them get their drugs. I'm a drug pusher.
Well, a lot of these drugs can be used off what they call off-label. And when I practiced obstetrics many years ago, we had a drug that was an asthma drug, but its side effect was that it happened to slow down or stop premature labor contractions. And so we use this asthma drug whenever somebody came in at 7 months or 8 months and was going into labor, and it would stop their labor and it would give their babies more time. So sometimes you can use medicines for off-label purposes. And I think that's basically the only way that you can use chloroquine these days, but they do give some leeway to doctors. They're just hospitals and some of the other clinics and medical facilities are not allowed to use it but I think that an individual doctor, if you find the right one, I think you would be able to obtain it if they are of that mind. But there are a lot of ways that science is manipulated, and I want to tell you a few ways that some of these tests come out the way people want them to come out. One is by using maybe the wrong combination of drugs. For example, this Dr. Zelenko used a combination of drugs using azithromycin, this hydroxychloroquine, and the zinc sulfate. Well, if you just happen to do a study to see if hydroxychloroquine works, but don't include the zinc, well, what you get is a less obvious effect than if you were using both of these together. And so you can just simply omit the zinc from your study and come out with results that are just not that impressive. And so that's something because this is being used to potentiate the antiviral effects of this. Now, another thing you can do is you can use the wrong dosage. If you want to show that this drug, hydroxychloroquine, is a killer, you can use high doses of it in your study and wind up having people with heart complications.
Like 800 milligrams was one of the studies.
Right.
Four times the dose.
Right. So we're having problems. People are having side effects, heart problems. We must tell everyone not to take this. It's dangerous. Well, for 70 years, they've known that the dosage is 200 milligrams right on the box, not 800 milligrams. Doesn't come in an 800 milligram capsule. So that's another way that you can, if you want to throw shade on this particular drug, that's another way you can do it. Or you can pick any drug and just give it in quantities that are much higher than are really expected to be used, and you can wind up showing that there are complications related to it. And so that's an issue. Now, if you use the wrong patient population in your study, you can also adjust things, manipulate things to make sense. If a COVID study has a group of patients that range from, remember that 35 to 64 of middle age, if you have a group of patients that are like from 45 to 85 in your study group, and but 80% of them are in the older part of that range, well, you can expect more complications and deaths from COVID-19, right? If you, however, take that same group, still call it a 45 to 85 year old group, and take most of the people and make them in their early 50s, well, there's going to be less of a death rate and less of a complication rate from COVID-19. So you can control things that way also without it being obviously biased, or at least it is obviously biased, but being obvious to the average person that's being told this stuff, that's reading this stuff in online.
One more thing. Could you repeat how much D to take? Apparently I was talking.
Okay, well, we take 5,000 a day.
Right.
Other people take more than that. The nutritional experts in the U.S. And Canada recommend 400 to 800 international units only. I don't believe that's enough. I think a lot of people would agree with me there. And so I've seen some people say 2,000. I've seen some people say 4,000, 5,000. And I said that a study, there is a study that shows that even 10,000 international units daily does not seem to cause any major complications. And in people that need to get vitamin D level up very quickly, sometimes they use even a mega doses, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 on a one-time basis or on a very infrequent basis to try to bring up that vitamin D level, the level that you want. You can ask your doctor to do a vitamin D level test on you. You would like to be 30, 40 nanograms per milliliter or so. Some people say 40 to 60, but I think if you can get to 30 to 40, at least you can say that you're not clearly deficient. Using the wrong time interval. Okay, that's a good one. If a study of winter seasonal flu, for example, is done in the summer, it may understate the amount of cases and the risk of infection from the flu. If you have a study on COVID-19 that was done in April or May, well, the data may be useless if there is a different strain circulating around right now that be due to some kind of mutation. And I think that certainly could be happening with COVID-19. We have seen like a lower population of deaths in some countries. You haven't heard much about deaths in a number of countries that had problems in the early going. And in other areas, it just seems to be more contagious. So maybe less deaths, but a more contagious virus. That may be something that may be going on. And there are other ways to manipulate science, but one that has always lurked in the background is out there just butt naked these days, and that is political agendas. Whether a particular treatment for the current pandemic gets good press or not seems to be related to the politics of the person that's commenting on the treatment, and that includes medical experts. And the divisions in this country, to me, have just been laid so bare, and all this tribalism on the rise, and academic institutions are just consistently one-sided in their efforts to eliminate divergent opinions. My gosh, that I'll tell you, once upon a time, I thought this excluded science, but it's getting pretty hard to ignore it and very difficult to know where the trustworthy data can be found. I mean, is it in the New England Journal of Medicine? That's a very respected journal. They say that, for example, that hydroxychloroquine doesn't work. Then the International Journal of Infectious Disease says that it does. That's also a respected journal. So what the heck? You see opposite statements posted about the effectiveness of a particular treatment or drug. And you just can't believe everything that you read online and expect our leaders to conduct their governments, their state, local, federal governments on anything but a political basis these days. Maybe it was always this way, but it's reaching critical mass now, in my opinion. And my advice is just to keep an open mind and make sure that you use all the tools in the medical woodshed, as I said before, because in times of trouble, you're going to need them, and just keep an open mind with regards to everything you can, and especially the types of treatments that are affordable for you, to things that you can stockpile. You can stockpile vitamin D, you can stockpile zinc, you can stockpile betadine, and maybe some of these work, maybe some of them don't. I mean, but you see that if they have any effect whatsoever, it's better than no effect at all. And that's basically what happens in survival medicine, is that you don't have the high technology, you don't have necessarily monoclonal antibodies at your disposal, but you do have some of these things, and you might as well use them for whatever possible success you might have with regards to either preventing a problem or making a problem. If you do have to have a certain infection, maybe make it not as life-threatening as it might be.
In your book, you told us how to get Z-Packs.
Yes.
Through fish antibiotics.
That's right.
Yes, a lot of these things are still there. Matter of fact, I just received something saying that bird Zithro is back on the market, so it's available pretty widespread. There are a number of different companies that make it. Thomas Labs was actually not making some of their usual antibiotics, and another brand called Fish Aid came up, and that's also it seems to be an acceptable alternative, and some people have asked me about that. But you have to have the ability to deal with some of these problems, and even if they say, yep, there it is, even if they say that honestly this is outside the conventional medical wisdom, the truth is that sometimes you have to,
It's funny.
you have to, if you have to sound like a quack, I mean, to get people to say, to save a life here and there, honestly, I do it proudly. So, well, that's what I have to say about that.
I don't think you sound like a quack. I think you're trying to save lives and give people really good sound advice.
Well,
that's
I think people just need to look behind the agendas of what even the medical experts are doing these days. I mean, I really think that very few doctors, I mean, they're concerned about their licenses. They don't want to rock the boat too much. Younger doctors.
Yeah. They want to lay low, is the truth.
Right.
They want to lay low. Nobody look over here. I have no opinion. Listen to the experts over there, and I'll just follow them like a sheep. Right.
And the truth is that if they could get their license pulled, and that may affect their livelihood. It could affect their family. I'm old now. So
if they write prescriptions for things the FDA has said you can't write prescriptions for, they can get in trouble.
Right.
If they give advice on supplements to build a healthy immune system, not to cure COVID, those are the words that will get you in trouble. Oh, my doctor said this will cure COVID. Yeah, you might get in trouble if you start making claims like that. But all of these things help with our immune system, help build a better body. These are not foreign substances. They're not prescriptions. These are all good. And the vitamin C, which I actually left in the bedroom, which I'm sure you already talked about too. But there's supplements.
It's another antioxidant.
It's okay to tell people.
Time out. You only take your vitamin C in the bedroom?
We have all of our vitamins in the bedroom.
Okay. Just one of those.
We take some in the morning and then some at night.
It's a
reminder. Hey, don't go to bed without taking your stuff.
It's the sexy way to take vitamins.
That's enough information there.
It revitalizes my husband.
All right, so
gotta laugh, honey. Laugh.
So I don't know if we have any questions. I mean, I could go on about heat waves and things like that, but
did you say how much vitamin C to take? Did you mention that?
Well, 500 is the basic thing that they recommend, but
twice
you can
a day
take more,
actually on this protocol.
Right? You can according to the Eastern Virginia. A lot of people take more than that. By the way,
I put a link up for this paper
right.
on the.
Yeah, the Eastern Virginia Medical School put their COVID-19 management protocol. It does include vitamin C, 500 milligrams BID, quercetin 250 to 500 milligrams BID, zinc, the 220 zinc sulfate, vitamin D, 4,000 daily. So these are some of the things that they recommend that you use, and that's from a medical school.
Hey, so guys, if you have questions, if you'll type them in all caps, that way we can identify the questions from people's comments. And if you'll go ahead, if you have questions, go ahead and start doing that now, and we will take your questions. So I got my hydroxychloroquine from a non-conventional method. And I don't know if it's legal or not legal, but I went overseas and purchased my hydroxychloroquine and they mailed it to me. Is that illegal? Am I going to jail for that?
Nope, you're not going to jail. They recommend against doing that. But the only reason, honestly, is because the government cannot control the quality of the drugs that are made in other countries.
Okay.
They have some pretty good idea of whether things in Canada, for example, are made to the specifications that would meet U.S. standards, but they're not so sure about those pharmacies in India, the same pharmacies in India or Malaysia. But there's no reason necessarily to believe that that Indian pharmacies are out to poison people. They probably wouldn't make a lot of money if they did do that. So I'm not saying that these things are poison. I'm just saying that there's not as much scrutiny over those kind of pharmacies than Canadian pharmacies.
Okay.
And I just think that we really have reached a point where the politics has gotten to the point where it's affecting your ability to get certain medicines, and that we've just gone beyond the pale with regards to that. We have to have more options, not less options.
Hey, and also, guys, I do want to say this one more thing. If you guys want to get into the meat of some of the things that he's talking about and some of the studies, I posted a link. I think his name is Dr. Ben, or Dr. Ben, 2 E's. He goes through this stuff amazing. He goes through every study, and one of the smartest guys I've ever here. I think I got his but he goes through all these studies, and everything he's saying is exactly what Jack is saying, exactly what Dr. Bones is saying. And someone asked me what country. I'm going to do something against my better judgment here, but I'm going to post this right here because I actually saw this on some major players where we're putting this on, and I'm going to. There's a guy named Andrew. He owns a pharmacy called Insulin Hub. You've got to call him, and you fill out a questionnaire. It goes to a doctor. The doctor writes your prescription, and you can possibly get some medicine from them. I heard that through the grapevine. Tell him I sent you. I mean, we do know each other, and his name's Andrew. But and he'll give you a discount if you tell him. So I heard. That's all I heard.
All right. Sounds like you have your sources.
It's just I read it on the internet. That's all I can say. So you got some questions here. Can you see the questions? What's your opinion of PQQ?
So, go ahead. You can read them.
You can read some. PQQ.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what PQQ is. There's a lot of letters out there in the world.
Yeah. Okay. Should we be taking all these supplements preventively? Yes. I'm going to answer that. Yes. Link to the study. I'm going to link to Dr. Bean's YouTube channel if you don't mind. Ben.
Okay. Well, I linked to the protocol that we've been referring to, which is this EVMS, Eastern Virginia Medical School. Sorry. And this is what you will find. Oh, it's kind of crooked. There we go. See the prophylaxis? That's the top. And then if you've got mild symptoms, and it goes on, and then there's a second page. So everything that we've been talking about, we've been talking a little bit more for ourselves. We take a little more zinc, but this says 75 to 100. But you guys can print this out yourselves. Although not everybody has a printer, apparently, says my 30-year-old and my 26-year-old. Apparently, only old people have printers.
Did you put that link online? Where's that document?
It's if you scroll up a little bit, I have the link. I've put it twice. I'll do it again.
So the pyroquinolone, I think, is what you're
There it
talking
is.
about, PQQ, and that's an antioxidant. And that's
Okay, great.
So it's supposed to work as an anti-inflammatory, and
Just like
all
these other ones.
Right. Unfortunately, they say that, some of them are saying, well, it does reverse the aging process. Now, when you say things like that, it's hard for me, unless I have, some more information on it other than just that, or just saying this cures cancer. I'm not saying that this is not necessarily something that is effective, but it's got to give me a lot more data than that for me to be able to
They're talking about
say much
bromelain too, which is from pineapple juice.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, which is anti-inflammatory.
Right.
And so that's mixed with some of these. It's a good thing. Anything that's anti-inflammatory. Foods, the way we eat. We haven't even discussed that. I know we didn't. This is not a diet nutrition thing. But we started keto diet, which I know sounds really far out in left field for a lot of people. There's a lot of science behind it, which is funny. I was saying that as a joke. You got to read. There's benefits, and there's the side that says this is the greatest thing on earth, and then there's a side that says, oh my gosh, it's going to kill you. We feel great. His blood sugars have been awesome. We are losing weight. I think we're about even with how much weight we've lost. Maybe you've lost a little more. Of course, men always lose more than women. It's not dramatic for us, but it's more weight than I've ever lost in a month without just stopping food completely. We feel great. And there has been some talk about keto diets being better for inflammation. So if we can keep our immune systems calm and relaxed and ready for infection, I think that's a good thing. So anyway, there are good foods out there. It's not just about things in bottles, folks. Change our diet. We're all home. We're all cooking. I've never cooked so much in my entire life. I think I've cooked more meals since January than I have probably my entire life. You get used to convenient foods, even if it's just cooked chicken already. Instead of me taking the raw chicken and actually cooking it, it's cooked already and stuffed with something. And but we're cutting down. Carbs are low. We're not using preservatives. Our eggs are as healthy as possible. Our milk as healthy as possible. Our meat, grass-fed, no antibiotics. So it's just really trying to take out all of the poisons that we've been putting in our bodies for so many years and make ourselves healthy. So if we get exposed to anything, including the flu or pneumonia or whatever, that we can fight it ourselves. So again, don't focus on just the bottles. Focus on what you're drinking, right? How much water you're drinking. Cut out all soda. It's just poison. Anything with high fructose corn syrup is poison. Anything from a fast food restaurant, even if it's lettuce, I swear it's probably got poison on it. just don't even go to, and their ice and their sodas. You should see their ice machines. Believe me, you do not want to eat in a fast food restaurant. Never drink their sodas with the ice. But let's make ourselves healthier, and then the supplements can be extra. If we're not getting enough of this, if we're not able to, fill our diet. Again, the keto diet has its problems because I really don't eat fruits. I'm only eating a little bit of blueberries here and there. So I'm losing out on things from fruits. I'm only eating certain kinds of vegetables, which are low in carbs. So I'm not even eating a wide variety of vegetables. It's mostly Brussels sprouts, asparagus, spinach, a bunch of green things.
That's true. You've been really good about it.
But, find the diet that works for you, the healthy diet, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be keto. Whatever makes you feel better, makes you have more energy, less brain fog. You're able to exercise. We've exercised again more in this past month since we started this. since in a long time. We just feel better and stronger. So everyone get your body in shape. This is the time to do it. Nobody can use the excuse you're too busy because pretty much we're all at home. So let's all be in this year in a good, healthier weight.
And if you guys would have bought his books and bought some of the fish antibiotics and some of the things that they told you, matter of fact, if you would have read his book, this one right here, or any of these, you would have been totally planned or prepared for the pandemic. You told people what
masks, right?
The masks
and the whole shebang.
The antibiotics, the supplements, everything.
Now, Forrest, why don't you mention your giveaway, and after that, I'm going to give away some prizes. And we're gonna play a game. Go ahead. Mine. You do your thing. You tell them about your giveaway.
We're giving away over $1,000 worth of stuff. Go here, sign up, share it to everyone you know. There's a Sun Oven, and I don't know you guys know, but I purchased Sun Oven with a couple other friends, and it's a great company, great product, legacy food, and we're giving it away. It's just go to preppernet.com/giveaway. That's going to be given away in about, I think, like 55 days or so. So we're gonna do one of these every single night for the next from this point on. We're gonna be doing a Preppernet Thursday night live. Some of the guests, and again, you guys will get it. So next week, same time, be here. It's up to it's yours.
All right. So now what I'm gonna do is give out some prizes. Now, looking at just taking a very quick look at Amy's mystical warehouse of mystery and magic, I will give out 10 surgical masks. 10 surgical masks, and I'm going to be giving out, and not only that, but each you'll get either a Life Straw, an H&H compressed gauze, or our pandemic preparedness book. We have a color edition that we have. It's a limited edition. We have about 20. I think we have about 25 of those left, and we have a few Life Straws and some compressed gauze. So you will get 10 masks and one of the other items that are here. And the way we're going to do this is you're going to have to be able to type
He's
fast.
putting the color picture in.
Yes, I've got one of the limited editions.
Right now.
Okay, wait. Before we ask the questions, I want to give them the email.
Right. Well, that's what I need. I was about to ask you to do
I'm
that.
typing that up. I just want to tell them. I'm going to give you guys the email. I'm going to write down your YouTube name, and you got to tell me your YouTube name so I know who you were when you won. I'll write those down. And then give me your address and your name.
Right.
And we will send you out some prizes.
Now, this is how this is going to work. I'm going to ask a question, and you're going to have 15 seconds to put down an answer. The person that's closest to the correct answer is going to win, whether you are above or below. There's not one of those, up to but not over. So these questions are going to be trivia type questions, and I think they're sort of interesting. It might learn a little something that you didn't know about. And if you do know it about, well, you know what? Wow, I admire you. Okay, so question number one, and so get your fingers on your keypads.
Somebody already answered 42.
42. 42.
That was funny.
How old was I 25 years ago? That'll be the right answer. All right. This is an interesting one. How many words are spoken by the average person each day? It's not 42.
Is this Amy or is this other people?
He talked more than I did.
15 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So that didn't give you enough time.
I got a couple. Okay.
Not enough time to.
Oh, what's the answer? Tell me the answer.
The answer is 15,942.
Okay.
I have 1 a day.
I'm gonna have to say then Randy wins because he was the first one to write a high number. He wrote 10,000.
All right.
Randy, Write to me, Dr. Bones Podcast
You are a
at
winner.
AOL.com.
You are a winner. Okay, now.
So he won number 1. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so that's interesting. Boy, 16,000 words a day. That's a lot of words. What are people talking about? All right. How much money per acre did the U.S. pay to Russia to acquire Alaska? How much money per acre did the U.S. pay to Russia to acquire Alaska? You got 15 seconds. In cents per acre. Or dollars per acre.
Hey, I'm playing. Do I count?
You count.
I'm kidding.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is
Oh my gosh.
2 cents an acre.
Oh my gosh.
Let me see something up here.
Mine was a typical error.
Okay.
I meant to say 2.
So you said cents. So the question is, Mindy wrote 3. You had said cents. So
well, that's the closest
Mindy was the first one to say 3, and I don't see a 2 after that.
Right. By the way, you have to be the first one to answer.
Closest.
Right. To have the closest answer. If we just get a bunch of people.
We didn't say without going over.
Right. No. So it's okay to go over.
All right, Mindy.
So that was Mindy.
That one. Oh, and
Okay,
I just want to tell Alicia, I don't know if there's a delay, but he had said his countdown was over already. But it could have just been that they're coming in all at once. You know what, Alicia, I'm going to give you, what was the first prize? The first question prize? Undecided? Alicia, I'm going to give you a prize too. Tell me you won number 1, okay? Alicia Kinnard, sorry. She's tied with Randy. I'm going to give her one with Randy
All
also.
right, well, from now on, it's got to be the first one.
I know.
All
well,
right.
she actually said 15,000, but I think they were rolling all together, and I think that's why it didn't show up on time.
All right.
All right, so we're ready. No.
You better answer fast because you're gonna miss the boat.
See, the problem is, like Rick said, he put 2 cents, but it was after you said the timer was over.
When I say the time, when time's over, it's over, because otherwise everybody can just Google the answer.
This is hard for me because they're scrolling all at once.
All right, here's a COVID question. How many species of bat are there? How many species of bat are there? 15 seconds.
312.
That's your answer.
Well, maybe it could change.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop.
Okay, yeah, but these people could all be have
All
already
right.
typed.
1,100 is the answer.
Oh my gosh. Who counted all of them? I want to know who counted every one of them.
I know. Isn't that amazing? And now the amazing thing is that bats comprise 25% of all mammal species.
Wow.
Okay, so I have 2 10,000s.
What? No, it's got to be it's 1,100.
1,100. I'm sorry.
You need somebody that's in the.
I'm sorry, I meant
1,000.
I meant there's 2.
All right, they
1,000.
came.
I'm sorry.
You got to go fast. Who's the first one?
That would be.
I think, is it Kathy?
Kathy.
Okay, now
okay,
wait.
Kathy.
Now the last time people were telling me that somebody else had said it right, but they all come at once. Hold on. Kathy Elskamp is number 3, and then I'm going to have to give number 2 a second one to Rick because everybody stood up for Rick.
All right.
And like I said, I think they're all rolling in all at the same time.
All right. Well,
Rick Powell is also going to be a second winner. So write to me, Rick Powell. Tell me you won the second one along with Mindy. Because I already told her I'm giving her a prize. And then this was Kathy Eskamp.
Next. Now, using your keyboard, I want you to show me what the first emoticon was. What was the first emoticon? The first one to say the right one.
First one?
Yep. You have 15 seconds.
Okay.
You have it yet?
Are you sure it's not someone shooting a bird? I don't know.
Okay.
Did you have a
I
winner?
got it. I just got it.
Okay. Here it is.
You know what? This is the problem. Okay. This is not fair.
What?
Because when they type it, I think it changes to the face.
Oh.
Well, let me see what happens if I type it. If I type this, yeah, look, it changes it.
Okay.
So all the people who did a happy face.
Okay, so the first one who did that happy face.
Okay.
Go back.
I'm right here. Is Prudence.
Prudence
is the first one.
Okay.
With the regular happy
Congratulations.
face.
That was the first emoticon. The second one was a sad face, but it had the nose, guys. Had the nose.
Okay. Now I've also been told that Jack Spearco answered the back question properly.
Well, that's kind of tricky.
But
if you did it too late,
I don't know if it was cut off already.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
Right.
All come up.
Maybe you should ask the
One
questions.
of three people tell me Jack got it right.
He did say 11:26.
All right, we'll give him 1 2.
All right. So he's a genius. What can I do?
Yes, of course. Jack, 26 species went bat species went extinct since you answered that. So, so you were wrong. See? Okay. All right. We'll go add him on.
Okay. So I wrote Prudence. All right.
All right.
Jack's gonna get a number 3. Jack, make sure you write to me and tell me your address, please.
Yes. All right. Ready? Okay. What was the first toy to be advertised on TV? The first toy to be advertised on TV.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
First toy
to be advertised on TV.
On television. Oh, God. You guys are saying all my favorite toys.
Not yet. Yes.
Yep. We got it.
Okay. Tiaman.
Kochar.
It was Mr. Potato Head.
Tiaman Kochar.
How about that? Good for you guys.
Are y'all making this up as you go?
No, these are actually, I have them from it's a game, from a trivia game that I have.
What's it called? I forget what it's called.
Wits and Wagers.
Wits and Wagers, okay.
Okay.
This is fun.
All right. In what year?
Wait. Let's have them stop.
Oh, okay. All right.
Things
stop.
are still rolling in. Oh, you know what it is?
What?
We're on a few second delay.
All right. It's the first person who gets it right. Now that's the thing.
Yeah.
First person who gets close enough. All right.
You people are old, Sonia says.
Yes, we are.
I had every one of those toys, except, you know what? I did not have a Betsy Wetsy.
Oh.
And I don't think I had a Chatty Cathy doll, though that would probably be surprising to people.
All right, here's one. This is an old person one, too. In what year did Kellogg's introduce Pop-Tarts? 15 seconds.
Pop-Tarts.
10 seconds. 5 seconds. You better guys start better at putting
give them
things
a
down.
few more seconds. I think they're all typing.
Okay. All right. I got a winner.
Putting it
I have
in.
a winner. Chuck is the first one. Chuck Powell. 1964 is the answer.
Chuck.
Everybody else was close, but you got it right on
Powell.
the. Well, you got it right on the button, Chuck. You're a fast Google. You might be a fast Googler, or you really like, Pop-Tarts.
You know what they're doing? They're taking their phones and holding it up to Siri.
Yeah.
And they're letting you ask Siri.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, wait.
Oh, wait.
What
did I think of that?
If you pull Siri up and let him ask the question, then she'll tell you.
Okay, good. Well, here's a question.
Don't do it. It's cheating.
Right, that's cheating. All right, ready? How many years separated the patents on the tin can and the can opener? Tin can came first, I'll tell you that much. How many years? 15 seconds. Between the tin can and the can opener. And a way to open the tin can. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is 45. That's it. No. You gotta go up.
Okay.
Well, I saw someone that had 43. Courtney had 43.
And
45.
That's third from the top, so there couldn't be anybody else who got it before her.
I tell you what, the guy that has the username Preppernet, he's not very smart. He's not very good at this
You're
game.
doing pretty good.
And he has a 10-second advantage on other people.
you have a-
I think it's 10
I know.
seconds. You're hearing it first.
But you're enthusiastic. That's the important.
Okay, wait, let me
Must
write
be
down.
my staff.
Okay, number 7 was Courtney Farrington. Dr. Bones Podcast at AOL.com.
Okay.
What was that sound?
Ready?
That was a message coming into me.
All right, we got a couple more. Okay, in pounds.
Pounds.
What's the weight of the average dairy cow?
Oh,
15 seconds.
I'm gonna write
Give us
down. I'm
answers.
gonna write down my answer. Is that close? Oh, it wasn't bad. Okay.
10 seconds.
Mine was a little leaner. Give it a second.
5 seconds. 1,400. You got it. Who's got 1,400? Sophia. Sophia,
Wait,
you got
wait,
it
wait,
right
wait.
on the button.
Wait. That's Sonia, you mean?
Oh, Sonia. I'm sorry. I thought it was Sophia. So
Sonia McCart.
Sonia McCart. You got it perfectly. Wow.
Good job.
You guys.
Sonia.
Yeah, that Preppernet guy, I'm going to have to fire him. He's not very smart.
He doesn't know how to use computers properly.
All
However,
right.
he can stream YouTube videos pretty well.
All right. Next to last one. In miles per hour, what was the top speed of the original Model T Ford? 15 seconds.
Say it one more time.
What was the top speed of the original Model T Ford?
So the first one that came out. Really? Wow, I was going to guess way lower.
Oh, 45. Wait, we got it. We got a winner.
Delirious.
What?
Wait, I think that's his name.
Delirious Darius.
Darius.
Darius, congratulations. You got it right on the button. Wow.
Delirious. Darius. Dr. Bones Podcast at AOL.com. I'm going to type it here. Dr. Bones. For all the winners, now you'll have my email. You can just copy this right here.
And last one.
Wait. Let me just leave that up for 1 second so people can get this. Oh my gosh, I spelled it wrong.
Dr. Bones Podcast at AOL.com.
I pushed a letter twice. I can't type
Is that podcast?
Plodcast. We're plotting.
Podcast.
We're
No,
plotting.
I typed 2 P's.
Okay, last one. If Abraham Lincoln's statue at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. could stand up, how tall would he be?
Ooh. Okay,
15 seconds.
I'm going to guess this. I'm going to say.
Don't say it.
I'm writing it down for you.
How many feet
close am I?
tall would he be? Not at all.
I'm not close at all. Okay.
Okay, 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so I don't know what the last one.
All right. Well, let's keep
Still coming in.
All right, that's enough, guys.
Okay, give it a second. Everyone stop. Okay, we're going to go to the top and see who was first.
Of course, it was me, and I'm right.
Okay. How tall?
28 feet.
What?
Let's see.
Let's see if we have a 28.
24 is the closest so far I see. That's so
Cool.
far. Keep going. 25. Okay, 20. Another 25.
Hold on. I have a
26. 26. Gosh,
So far,
guys.
it's Laura. Oh, there's a Thomas
O'Reilly, you got it. Thomas O'Reilly got it correctly. 28 feet. Wow, man. Pretty good.
Thomas.
You really think Siri is
No.
How could that's like incredible. 28 feet is
Some
exactly
people just
right.
have amazing knowledge. Is that 2 L's? My eyes are
2 L's.
2 L's.
And what about the rest of us?
What about what?
Oh, you.
Oh,
Yeah, right. I don't believe it. Well, guys, this was.
I agree. It does sound too low.
Thank you for.
That thing is huge. It'd be
Thanks.
standing
That
up.
thing's huge.
28 feet.
28 feet is 28 feet.
But I think that thing is 28 feet
Attack
now.
of the
Think of me
28
standing
foot
in front of that.
Yep.
I
Hey,
think that
we need to fact check that.
Yes, we should.
We need
But-
to fact check that.
I agree. Sounds too
But-
low. That's
all
just
right.
my thing.
All right. Well, thank you guys for playing.
That was
We'll
fun.
send out your stuff in the next few days. And congratulations. And
we're gonna send Jack a special gift.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Hey guys, I want to thank you guys. You're always the hit. I always start out with you. If you notice, every time I start doing my videos, I start out with you guys because you guys are the wealth of knowledge. Thanks for coming on and answering every question.
Well,
I do think the host should get some kind of prize. Maybe it was the book, the signed autograph book. I'll take that.
Maybe we'll find. Maybe there's something in the warehouse of mystery that.
No, don't say anything to me.
Dr. Bones Mystery Warehouse.
That's right.
Thank you for coming on. And
you're welcome.
I want everybody who hasn't joined.
Go ahead, babe.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to thank.
Well, that's what I'm doing too. Go ahead. You do it. You're better at it.
I just wanted to thank you, Forrest, for inviting us. We really appreciate it. Every time you invite us, we have fun. We learn something. We learn something from people writing to us. We love sharing our knowledge, and this is what gets us through
what little we have, right?
Crazy times are these little chats that we can have interactions with actual human beings, honey.
That's right.
These are people.
Yay.
I love it. I wish I could see everybody. That would make this even better. If we had like a little faces of everybody. I think at one point we had like 179. We had 179 people, so we could see everybody.
Do like a Zoom meeting.
One of those crazy Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Like they have the guy. What is it?
I'm not sure I want to see some of the people I know on there though.
They might not be fully clothed is the problem. A lot of people are wearing half pajamas.
Right.
Half nothing.
Right. For example, I'm not wearing any pants.
Yes, you are. He is wearing pants. Here, I'll stab him.
Hey guys, you guys know where to get these guys. You do a weekly podcast too. Is that correct?
We do a podcast.
So you call it weekly. We try to do it weekly.
We're at about 3 times a month at this point.
Yeah, so about every 10 days.
Yeah, so survival. It's called the Survival Medicine Podcast. Their YouTube channel, which we put out a big video today on how to suture.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So make sure you go to Dr. Bones Nurse Amy YouTube channel. You see our part 3 of that series is actually suturing up a wound in a pig's foot. So that's something that I think that you might want to see. Also, don't forget our Twitter is @Prepper Show, and what else we have? Oh, and you can find.
Although I'm not crazy about Twitter,
you can find Twitter. Yes. You can find our articles, by the way, in great magazines like Survivor's Edge, American Survival Guide, Prepper Survival Guide, Backwoods Home. And a recoil off-grid recoil and other great magazines.
And you're on the expert council of Jack Spirko's the
Survival
Podcast, TSP.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. Thank you, Jack.
Hey, and you're on my expert panel.
Yes,
and I'm right, and
we were the first guest.
And we hope that. I hope everybody has joined up with Preppernet and is following your website. You have a lot of great information on there and some really good people that are working with you.
So next week, I got a good friend of yours coming on, Charlie.
I'll be there. And Justin, just to give him a little poke here and there
in the chat room.
In the chat room,
that'll be fun.
Yep. Okay. Well, he'll be on next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Charlie is the king of survival groups. I've read every one of his books, and we ate so much sushi one night we both kind of got sick. So he's coming back to Charlotte though because he really liked that restaurant. But hey, thank you guys for coming on, and
thank you.
You guys, you have their email address, and you can always get in touch with them through the email, and they're very available to everyone. So utilize their knowledge. Go buy their books. These things are absolutely a must-have in a grid down or any time to know what you need to have for you and your family. When medicine or doctors aren't available, these books can absolutely save your life. So, well, thank you guys for coming on. That was too much fun. We always go way over than what we planned.
I know, right? Well, we'll just do an hour, and then we'll do 15 minutes of questions.
Well, this was a little extra ranting and raving this week. We'll try to behave in the future.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. Hey, everyone, next Thursday night, 8 p.m., join us here at Preppernet on our YouTube channel. Y'all take care.
Thanks, guys. Love you all.
Bye.
Bye.